What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, more of a longer form video here to give people like yourself the inside scoop on someone like Michal Wach. We're going to be finding out about Michal Wach's humble beginnings as a real estate investor, all the way up to like buying luxury vacation properties that people can cash flow really, really well off of. All right, so get your favorite drink, get your favorite snack. Let's dig in and find all about how Michal Wach was able to quit his day job and buy a property on Salina Lake. Super excited to share this with you. Let's jump right in. You'll see more content like this coming up all the time. Let's go. So today we have Michal Wach here. So Michal Wach, thanks for hosting us at your amazing cottage here.
I think there's a better way to spend the next 30 years of my life. In baseball, I tried out for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Any kind of words of wisdom for anybody else that's maybe afraid to leave their day job? They've got a couple properties, they're not sure.
Solid salary and the work-life balance. So
was there free coffee at work too?
There was a lot of free coffee.
No wonder you were there for so long.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Deal Maker Action Taker podcast, where we help the average investor level up with their mindset and investor skills. So today we have Michal Wach here. So Michal Wach, thanks for hosting us at your amazing cottage here. You know, I've known Michal for a couple of years now, and I think he's a great inspiration to the real estate investing community, like a former government employee, right? So we'll be talking about all kinds of different things here today, from being afraid to quit your day job, evolving as a real estate investor. But I always like to get started off with people's like juiciest deal and then like craziest story. So like, what comes to mind here, Michal, when it comes to like your, let's say your craziest story, and then we'll get into one of your best deals.
Sure, Kory. Thanks for having me on. Crazy story, I'd say when we started being landlords, it was probably our second property that we were looking to find a tenant, and somebody from Winnipeg, from out of town, replies to our ad, checks all the boxes, looks amazing. We actually jump on a Skype call, because that's what you could do back then. It was about a decade ago. And we gave him the unit, and he said it was just going to be him coming with a truck full of things. And so a month later, he shows up, he's moving in, and it turns out he brought 2 big black dogs with him and a lot more stuff than we thought he was going to bring. Wow. And about 9 months later, our whole upper floor ended up being, we had to replace all the carpets, some of the baseboards, had to use all the bleach to get rid of the smell. He would just leave the dogs in the unit on their own all day. So I'd say that was definitely a good learning experience.
And typically it's not big enough to make an insurance claim, so you just kind of eat that cost and learn a big lesson from that. How about one of your best deals? I know you've done a bunch of different deals here over the years.
Yeah, I'd say recently, because the markets are always changing, so I'll use that example. We purchased an old bungalow. It was an off-market deal from a flyer, literally showed up on the doorstep on a day that the seller actually was thinking about selling. They called us up. It took a long time, close to a year, for it to come together. There was just some complications with family issues on their side.
It was like an estate sale, right? Or
there was a power of attorney involved. So it ended up just being a bungalow on a double lot, 70 feet wide. And what we've done with it since then is renovated that bungalow, added a legal second suite. So now it's a duplex. We've severed the lot. We refinanced the original property, got all of our money back because we were able to purchase it at such a good price. And now we basically have free land to build what's going to be a new build triplex. We're just applying for the building permit on that right now.
Nice. So it went from one house to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 different units, right?
Yep.
Pretty cool. Well, when it comes to real estate investing there, Michal, you've had quite the evolution. You know, you started investing over 10 years ago. Like, what made you want to get into real estate investing? Did you see other people doing it? Like, take us a little bit through your evolution as a real estate investor, and then we got a whole bunch of other questions here to ask you too.
Sure. Nobody was doing it around me. We were literally the first ones in our friend and family circle. We just thought that having somebody pay off our mortgage over 25 or 30 years on one rental property was a good idea. So we thought it would be a huge win if 30 years from now, we had our own house paid off and another rental property. That's literally how it started. And so we ended up buying a new build on the Hamilton Mountain around 2009, and the rest is history, as they say.
There we go. I know we didn't really get much of an introduction. Like, you're a full-time real estate investor now, but what were you doing for your day job, like for a corporate career? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I've lived two separate lives in terms of a career job. Right now, I'm doing what my passion is. It's buying buildings, it's partnering with other people on purchases, it's coaching others and sharing what I've learned. But the 15 years before that was working a corporate job. I worked at two accounting firms, and then over 10 years for the provincial government in internal audit. So I've done the internal, I've done external audit, and I thought I was going to be a lifer there. I mean, I had the golden handcuffs, I had the pension, the defined pension plan, which you don't see a lot these days. I had a nice, solid salary and the work-life balance. So
Was there free coffee at work too?
there was a lot of free coffee.
No wonder you were there for so long.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of perks and it met my needs and our family needs at that time. But things change and I realized, hey, you know what? This real estate thing is taking off. Somewhere around the time that I met you and started coaching with you, and I thought, I think there's a better way to spend the next 30 years of my life.
And it's amazing how many Canadians, we're both up in Canada right now, filming this in Canada. So how many Canadians do work for the government? It gives you that security, and so many people are looking for security and safety in their life, especially as you get older, right? I mean, you got a wife and kids and mortgages and commitments and different things, right? But it's limiting. I mean, you kind of live in this box of like, that's as much as you can do. It's not like if you work harder for the government, you get paid more. If you serve more people, add more value, you can move up. It's pretty much like you get your annual inflation raises, and that's about it, right? So any messages for anybody out there listening who does have a job, they're further along in their life, they're it's different when you're in your early 20s. You can just go, forget it, I'm just going to go travel in Europe. Whereas when you're in your mid to late 30s, it's different, especially if you have a family, wife, kids, everything else, right? Responsibilities. But you saw that potential. Any kind of words of wisdom for anybody else that's maybe afraid to leave their day job? They've got a couple properties, they're not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with thinking about, is there a side hustle that I could start? So even if you don't own any real estate, but you have some extra time or you have some ideas, can you start off something really small on the side? And without the hope or the expectation that you're going to leave your full-time job for it. But you never know when that small spark can turn into something bigger. And if you already maybe have dabbled and you own 1, 2, 3 properties, but you can't see how the cash flow or that income, the active income from real estate can let you leave that job, I would reach out to people that have done it. People 1, 2 steps ahead of you, not people 5 steps ahead, and jump on the phone with them. Ask them, hey, how did you do it? Who helped you to go from 2 to 4 to 5 and so on? And I mean, for me, getting into the right rooms, building my network, I was a lone wolf for the first 7 or 8 years. Everything changed when I started realizing, you know what, I'm going to need to lock arms with other people that have done it and been there.
Well, that's the cool thing about the real estate investing community. I mean, we just held an event last weekend. You were there, and the messages kept coming up over and over and over again. It was like, the people in this room are awesome. Like, you guys are just so welcoming, willing to share. They thought, there's some people there that hadn't bought any real estate, and they thought it would be like, oh, you haven't bought any real estate? Like, I'll see you later. But they're like, no, like, hey, awesome that you're here. Like, that you're in the right room. You're going to start to pick up the knowledge and the insights and the perspective that you're going to need. I wanted to use an example at the event with my daughter, who was like always seeing her older brothers like ride their bikes, right? And she was only 2.5, and then we took off the training wheels and she started riding her bike, right? It was literally just from seeing other people do it, what's possible. And I think it's the same with anything in life, especially business or real estate investing, seeing what's possible with different strategies and how fast you can move, and the world really is your oyster, right? And there's opportunities everywhere. So I know you mentioned that there was a flyer that hit that porch. You picked up that deal. That was actually one of your flyers, right? So you were strategic about, identifying opportunities in your city. What are some of the best things that have helped you pick up deals over the years?
It's mostly word of mouth. It's letting people know that I'm looking. There's some nights where I will text and email or direct message just people in my social circles, right? Family, friends, contractors, handyman, anybody that touches real estate, that walks through. So I've definitely gotten a lot of good leads and 1 or 2 deals that way. Flyers, even though many people are doing them, they work, right? If you're consistent with them and if you write the right message, and then even like when the leads come in, you want to be yourself. I think a lot of people try to be salespeople, or they try to be somebody that they're not. They try to be too slick. Be yourself. That's what's allowed me, whether the lead came from a Kijiji ad that I replied to, or a flyer, or word of mouth. I think being genuine goes a long way when you're talking to somebody that wants to sell to you privately.
Yeah, you got to be able to get in a rapport really quickly. You have to be able to relate to people. And if you're trying to be someone that you're not, it's not going to get you anywhere. Same with social media as well. You're active on social media. You're good on social media. You're being who you are, and you're sharing out messages that are important to you, and sharing content, and really trying to be a bright light in the whole investor, space. So I think it's really important, and you do it really well. So any interesting facts about you there, Michael? Is there anything about your backstory here that people might not know about? I know you have a sporting background. You have lots of different things you've done in former careers.
Yeah, I didn't grow up wanting or dreaming to be a real estate investor. I grew up definitely with an athletic background. I tried out.
Were you always in Canada?
When we were born in Europe, in Poland, and then went to Germany for a year, and then came to Canada when I was 5 years old. So all of the sports playing started here. Played soccer when I was young, a lot of ball, hockey, and baseball. I tried out for the Philadelphia Phillies when I was about 17 years old. Didn't make it. My arm just was not strong enough. I couldn't hit the ball far enough. But it was a really fun experience. It showed me just how many levels of skill and talent there are. And I thought I was good.
Yeah, and then you get into a different room with people like that, right? I've been at international training camps and stuff like that, and you might dominate in the province, but when you start to go national or international, it's a game changer for sure too. Then you're seeing the best of the world. Did you take it any further? Did you play varsity ball or?
No, it didn't go much further than that. I think it was something that definitely let me build a network of friends and good people that I had built friendships with growing up. And I've really leveraged that into being that kind of open and getting into rooms and being comfortable. I think a lot of those skills of just being on many teams and knowing that it takes a team to grow and to become successful, I've definitely leveraged into now as we build our business. It's not just me. There's a lot of people beside me, behind me, helping me out.
What are some of your favorite strategies, Michael? And then when you're looking at doing a deal, what goes through your head? Maybe just to give people some extra tips here or advice when it comes to, because I know you do, duplexes, triplexes, conversions, all these different things, but what's your favorite? And then, behind the scenes when it comes to the numbers, you're definitely a numbers person. If you worked in audit, internal, external for all these different years, you must look at a property in a certain different way. Lots of investors just go, nope, doesn't work, and they just throw it out, but you're probably manipulating a little bit more than that.
For the first few properties, we're definitely cash flow. So when we were analyzing different deals and properties, I knew I wanted to get a specific cash flow number to make me more comfortable leaving that job eventually. And it took years, right? The first few properties, we built up equity. When we sold those properties, that's when we rolled it into good cash flow properties in more recent years. So it was definitely a balance between leaving as little money in the deal, but still having good cash flow on the refi. So the BRRRR has been my favorite strategy as we build up.
Cheers to the BRRRR.
That's right. But we've also evolved now and started acquiring assets that are more longer term plays, right? It's that wealth building. This is a lifestyle investment here. We're really grateful that we were able to get into a cottage like this where we can spend family time here and holidays, make memories with the kids, but it's also an asset for us in the summer or in the winter when guests stay here. But definitely balancing that early cash flow, get as much money back from each deal with, hey, it's okay to leave some money in the deal, but this is a really good long-term buy with a recent apartment building that we purchased and this cottage as well, and also storage facilities and different types of opportunities like that we're looking at.
Well, even if you leave a little bit of money in a deal, just wait a couple more years, that mortgage will pay down a little bit more. And I know we have been having appreciation. We've actually been having negative appreciation lately, but time usually figures that little money piece left in the deal, and you'll get it on the next refi for sure. So, but yeah, a lot of people have been following your journey, and if you're okay sharing a little bit of numbers on this deal here. So you guys, this was not an inexpensive, this isn't like a rundown tiny little cottage. This is probably nicer than my house. So this is entry-level luxury because we're up in the Muskokas. So put this in any other lake and it would be higher end luxury for that area. But take the listeners through on purchase price. You guys, the builder did not do all the extras, so you guys had to furnish it and do a bunch of extras and make the landscaping pop and everything. And then it cash flows really well.
Yeah, the best way I can describe it is that things escalated quickly on this deal. We started shopping based on our criteria with my wife, somewhere in the $1 to $1.2 million range. Eventually ended up buying this for $1.76 million. We put in, it was Scotia financing, so we were fortunate enough to get a lender financing, keep the down payment. I think we ended up putting about 25% down for it. And then the landscaping and the furniture were the two biggest costs. There was a backup generator, blinds, mini splits that we put in. All in total, the renovations, if you will, were about another $150. So we hope with the income that we've started bringing in, and we were fully booked this summer. Next summer is already about half booked. We do have some kind of midterm bookings for the winter as well coming up. So if we're able to get our capital back in kind of 4 to 5 years, I'd be pretty happy with that, just from the rental income.
So that's a good return for sure. And are you able to refinance this one? Or you guys got to wait a little bit longer just because it's almost like a secondary dwelling, or it's a different kind of a setup?
Yeah, it is a vacation property under the lender's rules. So the income, if we stayed with them, they don't take into consideration. But if we wanted to switch lenders and treat it like a business, there definitely would be some options. So we're not necessarily planning or needing to refinance it, but I think as things move along, maybe we want to buy another one because we really enjoy the strategy. It's been a good cash flow play for us. I wouldn't be surprised if we try to tap into that equity.
Yeah, you guys did a ton of homework, you did your research and spent a lot of time building this asset, but I know we're just having dinner, and the cool thing is once the asset is built, I've got 14 medium-term rentals, and it's a bunch of work to get it up to the finish line. But once it's there, it takes very little work just to keep it going. I mean, you got your teams, and really it's just the cleaners and hoping people don't break things and things of that nature, right? But so you guys do weekly rentals in the summer, and then as you get to shoulder season, you guys will do, is it weekends, like 3 days? You probably have a minimum here.
Yeah, we have, so seven days or 6 nights is the standard in cottage country for really July and August, maybe end of June as well. Outside of that, it's really just a 2-night minimum, right? So and the prices vary. We interviewed a few property managers, and some of them shared a bit of their pricing strategies. So we were able to kind of replicate some of that in terms of from the high season weekly rate, how we reduce it for other parts of the year. So that's a strategy there. But you make a good point on the power team. Once you stabilize things, it took us a little bit of work to find the right electrician, the right HVAC person, right? Over and above what the cleaning company provides, you do need good individuals on the ground that you can call in if there's an emergency.
And how was September for you guys? September kind of like another mini August, or?
Yeah, it was. We were just over half booked for September, which just ended. Now we're in October, we're about half booked as well. Right. So it definitely allows for that lifestyle balance, right? If we are making money half of these months, hey, perfect. But if we can show up for a weekend and hang out with the kids and do some stuff on the water, even though it might not be as warm anymore, I'll take that as well.
Yeah, with your pricing structure, I guess when you have like something like that's kind of like entry-level luxury, it's kind of like up to the eyes of the beholder, right? I mean, somebody could charge $500 a night, or you could charge $1,000 a night. I think it's if you have the product that can really, walk the talk, then I think pricing at some of the price points or some of the income levels of the people that are renting these places, it becomes a little bit irrelevant, right? Whether it was, I know you're looking at using a high-end rental company, their weekly rate was up here, you guys end up going down here. There's no reason why you probably couldn't bump up closer to what they were going to charge anyways, just based on, it's really a marketing game, I find.
Yeah, for sure. It was a bit of a roller coaster ride trying to find the right pricing. So if we use the busy season in the summer as a baseline, the property management company that we were going to use was pricing us probably at like $13,000 to $14,000 per week. When we walked through with our realtor, he was thinking, hey, you might be able to get $5,000 to $6,000 a week in the high season. So we've kind of landed somewhere in the middle of that, right, since then. And I think that's the right balance where you are attracting the right type of guest, and that guest is comfortable paying for the type of experience that they're getting here. We've definitely try to check as many boxes as possible in terms of comfort inside the cottage, but also the kayaks, the canoes, the shed and the life jackets, the nice beach entries. So
And all the little touches, right? I mean, you're showing us the storage closets, and you guys had pre-written out thank you cards and all sorts of different things that you do for guests, right? Any advice to people that are looking to set up like a cottage? Obviously, they should do their research and not just like go into this blindly. You got to make sure there's a demand. You got to make sure you're in a place that the regulations are kind of already figured out, because if they do come down hard, now you got a $2 million property that you're like, okay, I guess this is just going to be a home away from home. But any tips for the listeners here today?
yeah, first thing, reach out to others that you have in your network that might be using that strategy. We leveraged our realtor a lot here. I didn't know any realtors in the Muskokas before we started looking, but I did remember one that was presented at an event that I was at a few years ago, and he used to own a property management company. So who better to walk you through water treatment systems, lake water versus well water, what income we could expect, what to consider when you're walking each of these, because every cottage is so different. A duplex is a duplex, but every cottage, the size of the lake.
I've seen lots of different kinds of duplexes, good, bad, and ugly, but yeah, this was like a new build on the water.
Yep. So there was definitely a little bit of a learning curve. You do want to surround yourself with people that are investing in that area, in that strategy, or tap into one person. Like the electrician we use for a generator install introduced me to a few other key power team members. So I've kind of strategically found, who do I need to make inroads with? How can they help me in this new arena?
Yeah, it's a great question to ask. Like whenever you're working with a contractor, like who do you know that I should be knowing? And just tap into that network. And if you guys are on good terms and good rapport, they should. I don't see why they wouldn't just open up their Rolodex book to you, right? So
100%.
Cool, Michael. Those are so many awesome tips for cottages. I know you're such a approachable person. If people ever, have any questions, definitely hit them up at Wach Properties or Selena Lake House, and make sure you're following them as well. I know, Michael, one of the things that's really helped you the past 2-3 years is we got to meet each other. You're actually one of our senior coaches now in our program, but you actually started off as a student. And you were saying that earlier that it's kind of been like the gasoline that helped you get thrown in the fire to be able to write your resignation email to your employers, right? So was there something that started happening to you? Were you just getting frustrated? Did you want to grow faster? Like, what was that kind of turning point where you figured like, hey, I do want more. Maybe I can't do it all on my own. I'm tired of being a lone wolf. Like, what was going through your head? Maybe just help the audience understand how we got to meet each other and how we started working with each other.
Yeah, for sure. So it's probably about 3 to 3.5 years ago. We owned a couple of properties, but we were almost stuck a little bit. I didn't know how we were going to necessarily purchase the next property, and we hadn't done any burrs. It was kind of turnkey properties that we had bought by then. So I started noticing that a few other investors in my network had hired a coach. And actually you were the one that Mark Smith was working with, that Austin Ye, another investor at the time. I reached out to them. They had really good things to say. So I said, hey, I got to connect with Kory, see what this whole thing's about, this coaching thing. And then I also started thinking, you know what? I've actually had a coach all my life on every sports team, at school, any extracurricular activities. There was always somebody that had been there, done that, and that was guiding me. So why not do that in the real estate world? And that's
was Justin Trudeau your government coach? No, I'm just kidding.
Not directly, but I'm sure he had a hand in everything that we did or didn't do. So yeah, one thing led to another. We ended up exchanging some messages, Kory. I jumped on board. I definitely got pushed in those first few months. I was like, wow, like Kory's holding me accountable. And I've never had that really in the real estate space. I had it in different areas of my life. And now really, I think I would have breakthroughs every couple of months, whether it be off-market deals or attracting joint venture partners or raising
hiring
money.
people, right? Like just getting more help on your team.
We were doing everything on our own. Me and my wife putting all the ads up, doing all the showings, 35 minutes away on a Tuesday night, on a Friday night, just kind of running around, right? And you help put a lot of structure in place, and fast forward another 1.5 years, your business was growing. Yeah, I put my hand up. I said, hey, I'd love to come on board. And before you know it, I left my day job because of a couple of good decisions, betting on you and on coaching and just believing that it could help me move to another level.
I know now your motto is like every day seems like a weekend, or there's no day that's more special unless it's like a birthday or anniversary or something like that. So welcome to being an entrepreneur where you get to make your own schedule.
And I'm making more money than I did at a job where I had to be every single day at an office, at the water cooler, listening to all the small talk. Now I set my own schedule. I love helping others. I think I grow as much sometimes some days as my students, the ones that I'm advising. I just love chatting about real estate. So I feel like I found my passion, and it was all because I bet on myself, and I took the leap to link arms with you, Kory.
There you go. Well, I'm sure if somebody would have told you 3 or 4 years ago, yeah, you'd quit your job, you'd be able to, you'd be buying 3 times more property than you had before on a compressed time frame, buying a luxury income property, lifestyle property, whatever you want to call the beautiful, 2,000 plus square foot property that we're in right now, and have a income source that wasn't attached to working for the government, you probably would have been like, I don't believe you. Right? But anything's possible with some focus and plan and determination. So, any last messages for the audience there, Michael? Like things that you feel like people need to hear these days, like interest rates are going up. Our students are still finding deals. We have mastermind programs for regular coaching students. We have mastermind programs even for our coaches, right? So we're always trying to educate you guys and level you guys up. But what are some messages you feel like people need to hear?
Yeah, so something that I've always lived by is don't take no for an answer and reach out for help. And I think that's so important, especially these days, right? If you're hitting a brick wall or you're not getting the answer that you need with financing or advice or looking for a power team member, don't stop. Keep on dialing, keep on knocking on doors, keep on reaching out to the network that you have. And like I said, I was a lone wolf. Now, when I think back to those years, those were the loneliest investing years of our journey, right? Trying to figure everything out on our own. I didn't know all of this existed. Ever since I came over to the other side and I invested in myself and I allowed other people to advise me and to guide me, I feel like I have this insulation now where no matter what storm is going on around us, I have a great group of people that are by my side and I can call up at any time if I have questions or I need to talk through something. So do not try to fly this journey solo.
No, well, I know you don't, because you have a very supportive wife at home and she's like in the trenches with you, and looks like she's going to be even more in the trenches with you now too. So
she wants to come on board and I'm not saying no.
Right.
She's in human resources, so it'll be yet another level of bringing in more help because I can delegate the hiring and the bringing in of assistants to her.
Well, hey man, it's been so much fun, filming. The sun's going down now. We'll let you help us light the fire or something like that out there. Show us how all the lights outside work and everything else. But it's been super fun there, Michael. We've been planning to film this for a while. No better place than up at your cottage here. Thanks for the time and being on the Dealmaker Action Taker podcast.
Anytime, Kory. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Cool. All right, gang. So make sure to stay tuned for future episodes, and thank you so much for listening today.